Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ask a Death Doula. I'm excited to talk about this today because we're talking about love. We have a very special guest. This is Justin Lucci, and he is the founder and CEO of the Global Love Project. Doesn't that just sound fantastic? It does for me, and I know that when I see his work, and I've been privileged to see it in person firsthand, the difference that he's making, I was like, I need to have him on the podcast. We need to talk about what he's doing. So today we get that honor. Justin, welcome to this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Well, I was thrilled to get to know you. We have a mutual friend who maybe we should give a shout out to, Joy, who's just an incredible, loving human being as well. And I would see your artwork, and I'd ask her about you. And I know when you were, it's kind of like Batman, but maybe like Love Man. So here he was here today, and he swoops in and he does his art. So we're going to talk about the work that you do. And I think I asked you from the get-go is how did you get started with wanting to do, and let's start there. How did you decide that you wanted to create the Global Love Project?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking that. It's been a journey to here, and I really want to say too first that I appreciate you having me do this
Mm.
with you and being able to open up more and share a bit more of the story. So this project that's been going on now for 2 years, it never had this much vision behind it. It all started with personally, I went through some loss. Someone that was really close to me had passed away. And I've experienced other people in my life passing away too. And at the time, it just really cracked me open, and I brought me to a place of questioning what I was doing and how I was going to be open and moving through this. And at the same time, as this was all folding, this was April of 2021. For the next 3 months, I really was taking a good look at myself, and I learned the second definition of the word intention, which is the healing process of a wound. And this concept, and giving intention to things was really present at the time. And so I knew I had a wound inside of me. It's
Mhm.
not an external wound, it was an internal wound. And, I kind of put it to theory is like, okay, I have this wound. And if I give intention to the healing that needs to happen around the wound, um, I was trying everything. And so organically, chalk unfolded in front of me as an opportunity to give intention to the wound, which really can ultimately, when you lose someone, can only be filled by love, because you've lost such a capacity, such a piece of love within inside of you. So for me, it brought me to a place of developing this practice of every day that I was feeling the full scope of emotions that you go through, I went out and used this tool of chalk and put it directly into love. And
So,
yeah,
so good. All right, so let's unpack it a little bit. Are you an artist? Is your background an artist? Because you're so incredibly talented.
thank you so much. No, I mean, in high school, I was really passionate about art and creating. But in my youth, I started working for a grocery store in upstate New York, and I worked there. I never thought I was good enough to be an artist, but I was having this company, beautiful company that I worked for, and I switched my majors in college to business finance, and I stayed with the company that I was with for 22 years. So I worked there from age 16 to 38. And so I really got a taste of the corporate world. And so
Yeah.
creativity was in the background.
All right, I love it. And I love that you said, the chalk. I think there's so many things that are so important about the energy behind what you do, because when you're walking on the street and you're just randomly coming upon this message of love that is in colors, it's in beautiful chalk colors, and you can tell that the intention and energy behind it is so magnetic of love. But who doesn't need to hear that? Who doesn't need to see these messages that you are loved, that you are perfect in your form, that, you know, whatever those beautiful different messages come about, for people and I always believe there's no accidents, that people find things that they need to hear. And I love that you have put the chalk on you know, the sidewalk, and that people can come upon them and get those messages, because right now we're so far removed from our authentic heart selves. In fact, I don't even think people realize, you know, and you said, you know, that the end of life, that those experiences cracked you open. And I want people to hear this, because I think a lot of us are struggling today, you know, with challenges and things that happen. And it's not what happens to us, it's really what we do with what happens. And these things are, you know, from working with those at the end of life, what people tell me before they leave is that these are all part of the bigger plan, right? The divine plan to help us to evolve and to grow and to always find our way back home. And the home is our heart. And that does happen a lot of times through the challenges. So I love that you said that. And I really want to go back to, you said, you know, where you put your attention and the definition, the second definition of that. And I thought that was so powerful. I want to look into that, healing the wound, because if we run the other way, right, and we medicate and we avoid, we never get to the magic, right? And so facing it and seeing where we can step into that, but also what is the gift that's here for me? Because I believe there's a gift in everything. So I love that you turned that into a passion project. And I really want to now talk about, and when you said you never set out for this kind of magnitude or big of a program. So you started taking the chalk, healing your own wound, which is what we have to do first, right? Because we can't be of support to others unless we're tending to ourselves first. And then so you're putting the chalk, the messages on the sidewalk, and then what happened?
Well, I noticed when I first did it for myself, you know, it's like it would start out in this place of pain a lot of the times. And because Florida, it doesn't, St. Pete particularly doesn't rain a lot, you know, I would go out the next day and I would see my own artwork, and it would start out in something that was heavy, and then it would come back to me as love. And what I noticed as I continued to do this is how it reflected for other people as well too. And it would magnetize others that would reflect the same thing. And I believe too, like when you put out a signal, that's what you get back. And sometimes we find little messages, and the way that over the last couple of years, I've been able to take this process and spread it around St. Pete. I've connected to a lot of people that at times have given me the things that I needed to hear, and vice versa. And we're showing up in this way, and now we're being able to see each other in it. And that's really powerful. That the things from our past that sometimes define us, and things that we've gone through, if we can give intention to what we want to use them for, it takes something from the past, it brings it into the present acceptance of it, and then now you can use it to move you forward. And that's what it's doing right now. For me now, it's pulling me along.
Yeah. And many others now. And so I feel like, again, the experiences we've had, and I will often say this to people that when we're teaching, is that many times the most painful experiences are our greatest teachers. Now, that doesn't make light of the pain that we go through. It doesn't mean that it is instantaneous always. It usually is a process. But if we allow to meet it where it is, accept it, and also own the pain so we can move through it. And then what's here, it can be the fuel of your soul moving forward. I love that you said you changed your direction. You really analyze things. And I think this is something that I teach as well, and very important, that I've learned personally in what I teach, is that time is our greatest commodity, bar none. So corporate job, do this, where, you know, you're told that happiness is X, Y, and Z, and people do X, Y, and Z, and they're not happy. Maybe fleeting, maybe getting a car that they like is great for a little bit, but that's not sustainable. That's not really what we're, in my opinion, looking for, that connection and fulfillment through the heart bond. And I think that all of us have a story to tell. And we, you know, again, like judgment instead of judging one another, meeting each other with that compassionate heart, knowing that everyone is walking a journey and a story that we know nothing about. And I think that your opening of these messages on the chalk and that pain that you shared allows other people to say, I'm feeling that too. I'm feeling that too. And then when we can put it out there, what can we do to heal that and then move forward, having it be fuel? And again, the underlining thing for me is always so important that we're so much more similar than different. And if there's ever a time that we need to remember that, it's today. Yeah.
Yeah, it really offers something to be witnessed in your experience, you know, and to have others that have also gone through experiences, and for us to end up in the same space, just like you and I talking right now. A lot of things had to happen to get to here
Mhm.
into this space. And you know, being able to witness each other in that really is powerful in a community. You know, St. Pete is a beautiful space. It's a big city, but it's also really intimate. You
Yeah.
see people, and it means something that you can develop these relationships. You know,
It
it's not
really
so
does.
lonely.
Yeah, I have to tell you, St. Petersburg is amazing. It's amazing. What a beautiful community. So full of just high vibrational energy. We're so blessed. So now probably a lot of people are going to come there, and that's okay. So absolutely come and share the love. Tell me
Yes.
about, if you may, tell me about what you do on Sundays. What is that event like, and how has it changed during the months or years that you've started?
Yeah. Okay. So for the last 116 weeks, I've been going to the roundabout on Central Avenue in downtown St. Pete. And, you know, I was chalking prior to making the commitment to go to this location. And so as life unfolded to bring me to that circle, I committed to coming up there every single Sunday and writing. I was going to bring a case of chalk, and I was going to write love everywhere. And if anybody wanted to join me, I was going to be open to that.
Mhm.
And the very first week was the only week that I had done it by myself. And ever since then, I've had community and friends and the network of people that really doing this project has connected me to. Um, there's been a devotional practice of going to this location. And so every Sunday from 9 to 11, I'm
Mhm.
still practicing going up to the spot, and it offers so many different reflections. It's an opportunity now to check in and see every time I get to come back to my purpose. You know, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? And what's important? And each week is this process of going through what has happened in the last week. And I get this opportunity to lay it down, you know, putting it into the chalk, the creativity. And from doing that over and over, it's, you know, given me a really good practice of being present.
Mhm.
And it's encouraged other people to tap into their creativity in that space, because chalk is very welcoming. You know, there's not a lot of commitment because you know it's going to go away. You know, it's impermanent.
Mhm.
And tapping into the creativity can allow a lot of different things to move with inside of us. Um, so, you know, it's tapping into the creative expression is one modality, but also too, sometimes you uncover things that you didn't know were there through that process.
I think there's so many levels that this allows. And I love that you said it's chalk is so friendly and freeing, because I think our, you know, again, our fear keeps us stuck and blocks us. And when you're like, oh, but it's going to wash away and it's not permanent, just go ahead and try. And 95%, in my opinion, of how we grow is showing up, is quieting the ego mind, the fearful, and just saying, let me just show up and open my heart and see what steps it's asking me to take, that guidance. And so I love that. I just had a vision of coming and helping maybe live stream your event, so people can take part in it who are not in St. Petersburg, and maybe they can develop their own. So I think that's wonderful. Let's talk about, and I want your opinion on this, because I know that when we met, we did talk about my work as a, you know, the Doulagiver founder and end of life doula, and end of life and death of the physical body. And in what I've learned working with those at the end of life is that we really were you know, we have two energies that guide us, human and being. right? And so human is ego and what's kind of, you know, influenced on us, and the mental mind, which is very small in its capacity. And then there's the being, which is the heart wisdom. And it really is, it is as clear as that, that there's two major guiding systems. And when we can tap into that heart and higher wisdom and follow it, it's always going to be guiding us. And I like that your event allows people to step into the creative being flow. So what do you want to share, if anything, about that? Have you found the same thing about these energies?
Yeah, yes, there's, the being. I look at it like there's the being and then there's the doing. And we're human beings,
Yeah.
but we're always human doings. And there's this, we're both. We are our higher self, from my experience, that receives connection through wisdom in our intuition.
Mhm.
And for me, my intuition is connected to my feelings. And so if I can attune to that,
Mhm.
I can show up more clearly in the world of doing. We're here to have an experience. We're living out our day-to-day life. We brush our teeth, we, take a shower, we feed ourselves, the doing.
Yeah.
And then there's a being that is, you know, timeless. We're all the ages of ourselves. I can remember times when I was 6. I can remember times when I was 20. These I don't want to get too ethereal with it, but I feel as well both. And I think if there's purpose that you come through, and it's more potent when it comes through the pains of our human experience.
Mhm.
And if we can find purpose in that, now there's a connection between your being and the doing. Both are valid.
I love that. I kind of think of that, as I will share, as like life mastery, because you are in this human being experience. We are here to evolve. But when we get to a certain point where we can take all of that experience and knowledge, change it into, learning, and then use this beautiful gift that we've been gifted as human body and the higher guidance to then show up in the world daily with whatever purpose, whatever gift. And here's what I want is mastery to me. That's kind of what we're here. And this is what I want to say when we talk about finding purpose. And I know a lot of us talk about that. And I think I want to make a clarity statement, and you can give me your feedback as well. When we talk about finding your purpose, and it's so important to feel aligned with how you're contributing and showing up, in this journey that we've been given. It doesn't mean that it has to be this grand gesture. You don't have to build a temple or write this major book or what, and those things, there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, it's how we choose to show up every single day in the vibration in which we hold. And that is a choice. I just got chills. And that is a
Yeah.
choice we can all make, and that we're all being asked to make. What is your feeling on that?
Yeah, we get to define what our purpose is here.
That's right.
And for me, as you're talking, what I want to share is the how well do you know yourself? You know,
Mhm.
because if you know yourself well,
Mhm.
and we're constantly evolving, so it's an ongoing practice. But the more that you can understand yourself, the more that you can understand someone else and see it, a perspective outside of yours, because you're clear on what your perspective is. And it's an opportunity then to follow what your purpose is, because you're yourself, you're connected to yourself, and you can follow that to show up every single day. So like you're saying, purpose doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be something like the Global Love Project or saving humanity. It's each one of us has a responsibility to show up in our fullest purpose, but for us to be connected to that, we have to know ourselves, and so that we can show up in the full essence of that. But we're constantly changing, we're constantly letting go of the old things, and we're constantly welcoming the new. So it's this process that's ongoing.
Yeah, it's like we're obviously, for a lack of a better analogy, really onions with layers to it. But I will say that one of the things that has really struck me in the work that I do and what I've seen, it's almost undoing. So it's almost
Mm.
unpacking the hurt that we've carried around, the anger, the different experiences that we haven't healed that actually keep us in this almost imprisonment from the connection and the love. And it really goes back to a love frequency. And I have found that forgiveness is the most transformative tool for my end of life patients, for people living, to release and cut the cords of the things that were keeping us stuck in this moment. And so when we can forgive others and ourselves, we can then have compassion and empathy for others that are going through their own journey, not judgment, not pointing fingers. And that creates that higher frequency in which we can show up in. And that changes the world. And that changes the world. Yeah.
So, yes, recently, actually, I came across a statement that said judgment is the opposite of forgiveness. And so,
Mhm.
um, I think this project as well, I can share this that 116 weeks. So, this is a little over 2 years. Week after week, I've been shown every past wound in a different way. And
Wow.
that each week I get this opportunity to say, wow, this happened to me. This is something I went through. And it's also really connected to something else in my past. And I have this platform each week to say, okay, this is where I'm leaving it. And what I've been able to do then is be the observer of
Mhm.
this experience, and I can observe when there's something from my past that's coming up in the present. And I have this tool to be able to like let it go and release. And that's really what I love sharing with people is like it doesn't have to be chalk. It's just take it and put it into something.
I love that, because when we can understand that we're human beings and understand that life is happening for us, not to us, and be able to look at the experiences from our past with a different lens, then we are the observer, right? From that higher. So what was here for me? And it changes everything. And this is what happens at the end of life when people, so we're four bodies of energy, holistic beings, as that physical body's diminishing, the spiritual body's growing. This happens organically. So as they're getting ready to leave, their vibration is organically changing. And there's a point, Justin, in the journey where they get what I call their spiritual eyes or their spiritual wisdom. And they'll literally wake up and say, I understand now. I know why that happened. And they literally start putting things together with a clarity and a freedom and an excitement that is just life changing. So for us to learn from people, and that's why for me, the fact that we've removed end of life basically from our awareness teachings, discussing it at all, it's one of our greatest teachers about how to live. And when people at the end of life will talk about that everything was meant for a reason, that we're all connected, that it was all about learning and learning to love unconditionally, that's the wisdom. Those are the universal laws. And you're helping to bring that into reality for people now, which shifts their world and then changes the bigger picture. So what is your vision? If you have a vision that you'd like to hold for the Global Love Project, where do you see it going, or what is your intention? And then we'll let people know how they can get more involved with it.
Yeah. So the intention of the Global Love Project, that's very basic, is to elevate consciousness through the awareness of love.
Beautiful.
What I see as the path for the project next is it's aligning to sustainability.
Yes.
So there's an opportunity to celebrate International Day of Peace, which for me is directly linked to love, and support and bring together community around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I've met a lot of people in the community here, and there's an opportunity to really unite a group of people that are deeply passionate about making sustainable change and
Mhm.
allowing the Love Project to be a place where we can all come together in that and be a universal message, and elevating each other, all that are working to make things more sustainable.
I love that, because it's not, again, it's not those big gestures. It's the daily consistent shifts that we make. And when we talk about love, it's not just human beings, it's the planet, it's animals, it's all of it. And I love that sustainable, because it can't be any other way. So if we're going to have that universal love or global love project, it's going to be on all platforms. Amazing. So Justin, you are doing incredible work. Please tell our listeners how they can get more involved with the Global Love Project.
Yeah, right now, reach out on Instagram. It's the Global Love Project. Everything is being coming together right now, so that's the best channel. And also, too, love people to come out. You can absolutely Google the Global Love Project, and it'll take you directly to the location in downtown St. Pete.
Perfect. I love it. We'll put all your links below. And also, when I get back, I'm in New York City right now. When I come back to St. Petersburg, I will do some lives that people can join in actually and take part in the Sunday events because they're really amazing. So I want to thank you. Thank you for following your heart. And thank you for
Thank
continuing
you.
to show up and to teach us and to elevate in love on all levels.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Make sure to see his links below and join in because it's all of us that make the shift of making this world a better place for each and everybody in it. All right. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.